I will die on that hill.
I absolutely love Miley Cyrus.
You have failed this.
Love this show.
The sickest snipe ever. Is this? What are we doing?
No. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Call Guys podcast. I'm Gunner, also known as Chico Noise, 3-time podcast host. And if you're looking for me this coming weekend, I'll be locked in my basement, secluded from the masses, and stuffing my face full of game day snacks because all I got to say is go Chiefs. I'm scared. I'm very scared.
What are you scared about? Tell me.
Big game against a good team.
So, you guys can handle them. You guys have done it before. What's the big deal? I mean, you guys have only gotten beat by the Colts. So, I mean, if I was to play the Colts, would you be more worried if you were playing the Colts for the Super Bowl or the Eagles?
Probably the Colts at this point. Just kidding. Everybody alongside me, as always, my good friend, Juan Vanilla Thunder Keel 4-3. And our special,
that was a mouthful.
Yeah, it was. And our special guest, everybody's favorite, Jake, the Snake Plissken, or as you know him, Jake Everett.
Thank you, Gunner. Appreciate that. Glad to be back on for Road Trace here.
Is this the third time?
I think it's third time. We did that episode 2000s, and then movies, and then Beer 30 episode. So it's the third time. Appreciate the invite as always.
Yeah. And that we discussed this before the pod, and I was like, "Oh, he's in a different room."
Yeah. I'm in a different room. I'm actually at Indianapolis for a conference down here for my job. But Colton gave me notice of what you guys were talking about and gave me the invite to come on. So I was able to still have the equipment necessary to pull this off on hand.
Nice.
So was able to join you guys and looking forward to our discussion tonight.
That was actually a question I didn't ask, was how did you manage to have all that stuff with you? But I'm assuming that means you traveled there today. Or you actually had it with you.
I had it with me.
Okay.
I did. I mean, the computer is my work computer, so I have my headset with me.
Nice. Well, hey, I'm glad to have you back.
Thank you.
I don't know if Colton's told you this or if you've heard in our past episodes that we will be doing 100 proof for episode 100.
What does that mean?
Beer 30 part 2.
It's not going to be as long as Beer 30.
I'm still waiting for the director's cut of Beer 30.
I know. I'm hesitating on that hardcore.
That's still being in the works, or if you're internal, it just means that Gunner's dragging his feet. But I would just say that it's still in production and planning, and I guess maybe you still have to get legal to okay it. I don't know what you still have to run through.
It's possible that some of it might need to be censored.
That's fair. So
blurred out video.
Yep. You figure out how to have non-identifying information for parts of it, whatever needs to happen.
Maybe I did talk about it being a limited release, maybe for like a week, right?
Yeah.
But I think I'll just not release and give it to the people that were there.
you know what you could do, reassuming my marketing hat for you. You could look at a paid kind of release here and kind of keep it locked and get some monetization out of the uncut version. I'm sure
I know one person. I know one.
One person is whatever amount that you want to put it on there to raise some revenues for the call guys.
Tell you what, this weekend I will edit the full version and I will export it and I will hold on to it and decide.
The only reason that you're saying that this weekend is because it's Pro Bowl weekend and you're not actually going to watch that seriously, and so
I love
you
flag
have
football.
more time.
I love flag football. I think we'd mentioned that on Indiana Chiefs fans this week is that I would watch it just for the Manning brothers.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think I haven't seen the statistics on it, but I know that my brother and I enjoy the Manning cast whenever it's on ESPN, and we really enjoyed the different components that they do, and the fact that it's like not very polished because they just continue to talk through commercial breaks, and just like the whole setup is just raw sometimes. But that's what makes it good. It doesn't have to be this full polished production. It can be a little bit fluid and organic, and just a matter of them. Sometimes they're just staring at the TV with their mouths open, watching the same thing we're watching, but they do provide the comedic relief when they're brothers. And that's why, Jordan and I really enjoy watching them, because we can understand the brother
do the same.
banter.
Yeah. Watching their commercials together and everything, and all their banter back and forth on that stuff. They're fun and they're funny. So I'll take it. But yes, welcome back. And I do promise to get your name right through this whole episode. So
thank you.
I was gonna say the other name, but I'm just not gonna say it. Just to be funny. I'm not gonna do it. Jake. How's you guys' week going? Guys, this week
going, man. I'm tired. Obviously got a new background behind me.
It's black.
Yeah. Got some different doors, got a weird light. So yeah, no, I'm currently in the process of getting moved in and getting all that fun stuff. So I want to apologize for the echo right now. Hopefully it's not too bad. So yeah, just surviving, getting through that, and
how's the new
trying
drive?
To find time.
How's the new drive?
Nice. It's nice.
Shorter, quicker, easier. Good. I like it.
Yeah.
And as he yawns,
yeah,
the best content, Jake.
That is just, again, the bar being set incredibly high with the Call Guys content of Colton yawning in the very beginning. So for those listeners who did not immediately turn it off and stop listening, thank you for continuing to listen. Through that, I'll try not to yawn in the middle of my week explanation. It's good. Being here in Indy and going through leadership conference. Tomorrow's our last day, so it's been a 3-day conference. It's been a lot of good learning, a lot of things that I could take back with the team. Definitely missing the kiddos, and only being able to connect with them through FaceTime. Just something that, not necessarily the job that I've always been in has been away from them. So definitely excited to see them tomorrow when I go back home. Do have to give a shout out to the coach, and I'll be excited to listen in that I'll be on the 3rd episode, but I got to shake his hand the other day.
Yes, he told me.
Yeah, he was very excited that we could connect, because I'd already connected with his wife, and his daughter is a student, and so just got to give him a shout out, and hope he really enjoys the content here, and that we don't put him to sleep. The only person that we put to sleep is Colton, because he's in a dark room with no light, and I assume some sort of pillow on his desk. So can't wait for him to fall asleep and be woken up in a rage. Just hope he doesn't wake up like Bill and want to have any flashbacks or assaults. So look forward to that.
You have no idea. You have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't know what I'm talking about. I know. You know what would be great is that if I could know what I'm talking about, and we could get Bill Dozer on the pod, and then I'll throw that out again.
Oh my God.
Time on the record. Bill Doze.
The Emperor has been saying that we need to get Bill on the podcast for like the last week. And I actually told him, I was like, today, because we did sound check for our gig, which happened this past Friday. I was like, I had a really good conversation with Bill the other day. It's like the first conversation I've actually had with Colton's dad. We were driving from house to house, and he needed a ride back, so he rode with us. And Lucas, being the nice guy he was like, "Oh, just sit up front. You're fine." So Colton's dad gets in, sits next to me, and then we just had this great conversation. It was nice. It was really nice.
He's a great talk.
I have to get him a hat. He says, "Where do I get one of those hats?" So now I got to get him a hat, and I got to get Jake a hat too. He's been on 3 times. He deserves a hat.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for that nod of apparel.
He can pay for
appreciate
it.
That. You know what? If I can drive some revenue with a limited release of Beer 30, that'll be worth a hat.
You looking for a kickback there?
Nope.
Sounds like it.
Nope. No, kickbacks are illegal.
So
Just looking.
yeah, two things on your week there. When you said coach, I could almost hear him screaming all the way from Napanee. And
Yes.
I'm sure when he hears you say his name on here, he will be so excited because he has said the other day he walked up to me and said, "I met Jake." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Snake Plissken." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yes, and again, there's only there's only like 2 people in our entire school district who probably knows that what Snake Plissken means and the pseudonym that I go by on this limited audience here. But I do appreciate tens of views. I do appreciate that coach and his wife are 2 of those individuals.
Hey, you guys say tens of views. You know, I was telling Colton this before Jake even got on tonight. That we've been posting on Facebook, we've been posting reels, and on TikTok we've been posting. Not as much on Instagram. I feel like videos aren't much for Instagram unless you're posting them into Instagram reels. But man, we've been getting some really high viewage on our reels, and I'm hoping that kind of turns around a little bit more as we keep posting and doing more. So anybody out there that's watching our reels and everything, thank you. Thanks for liking them. Thanks for commenting, all that good stuff. So it makes me feel good seeing the big numbers on there, and whether they're converting over to Spotify or on Podbean, it doesn't matter to me as long as people are seeing what we're posting. So, but yeah,
keep up the good work, man.
That's right. Oh, my week, it's been good.
Gunner, how was your week?
It's been good. We've talked about Vegas like 40 times tonight already before the pod, but I just got back from Vegas a couple days before we're recording this, and it was a long trip. Anybody out there in Dallas that's fighting through that ice storm right now, I'm sorry. I had to, fly through it, land in Dallas, and fly out of Dallas, and it was miserable. So people that living out there that, we know that they don't handle it as well as we do up here because that's what we deal with all the time. But I will admit that when the plane goes to go in reverse and back out of the actual terminal and it can't even move because the wheels are spinning, it's pretty bad. So, to everybody out there in Dallas, hope everything's okay. I know it's been pretty bad out there for you. So, but Vegas was fun. The flight was bad. The rest of the week's been pretty good. So
good. That's awesome.
Great.
And now it's on to what the weekend brings, and this comes out on Monday, so it's weird to talk about something that hasn't happened that already has happened.
It's true. Good point.
So,
good point.
But yeah, that's good. Colton, I know we have some emails. We're gonna let Jake read them. I'm just kidding.
Great.
Emails, Colton.
Yes,
the ones that we didn't read last week because we wanted to hold off because we recorded a little early because of the big move. What do we got?
This one is from PTAR 101, a also fellow Beer 30 participant, Jared.
Mm-hmm.
He
Yes.
starts out with, "Boys, weird sleeper here. I'm here to settle the pillow discussion and say I am team 1 pillow and 3 pillows. Let me explain. Personally, I am a 1 pillow man behind the head at night, but my wife has to have the TV on at night to sleep. So to keep the bright light out of my eyes while trying to sleep, I place 2 pillows on my stomach to block the view of the TV. As an extra odd thing, I place both my hands above my head while falling asleep as if I'm bonded in some weird sex act. Thanks as always, guys. Follow, like, and subscribe." Thank you, Jared, for the email. Really appreciate you send that to callguyspodcast@gmail.com. As always, it's a good time whenever you email. So just, thank you for your time, brother.
I mean, that's a good question, Jake. How many pillows?
One.
One.
Only.
Okay. And that hotel bed, how many pillows?
I mean, it comes with like
I
7.
know.
It comes with 7. But it one. That's
One.
all I need. One.
Same. One. And I understand.
And the only way that we ever have two, and my wife's the same way, she does one, except for the body pillow. And that was introduced during pregnancy. And that's an important medical pillow. So I think there's an exception for the body pillow. And one that you don't throw away even when you're no longer pregnant. It's just comfortable sometimes to use. So that's still around, but we're a one pillow only. And so are our kids.
Yep. I don't know why, but I don't like to have the cluster of pillows all around me. We've discussed this. Don't need to talk about it anymore. Other email we got was titled "Why I Don't Like You," and it is from our plant manager out in Pennsylvania. And there's a big reason why he doesn't like me, but he does love me. Dwayne, I know you love me. Don't lie. He said, "Gunner, you need to throw that absolutely horrid-looking sweatshirt in the dumpster and burn it. It makes people sick." Thanks,
It's like
Dwayne.
he knew. It's like he knew.
Yeah. He said, "Just kidding. Congratulations on making the Super Bowl. Please beat the Eagles so I don't have to listen to everyone here in PA brag. Keep up the good work." Dwayne, thank you.
I'll never
hopefully
hear the end of it.
Yeah. No, you will. And I don't talk about all that as much as some other people do. And I'm not much of a bragger when my team wins. I get excited in the moment. I'm happy for a while, and then it's on to the next game or next season. So I hope everything goes well this weekend.
Well, I mean, both of those are going to come true. So, on to the next season. On to the next one.
Yep. That's all you can do. On to the next one. Guys, I have a question of the pod, and I actually gave you this question of the pod beforehand because I feel like it was a little bit harder to answer. I don't know why. It was hard for me to answer, and I wrote it. And that question of the pod is, what would your documentary be titled? Jake, would you go first?
Yeah, I think just trying to not be offensive, first of all, to anything, and I'm not trying not to be arrogant in the answer, because I feel like that's such a interesting question to have to come up with your own title for your own documentary about your own life. So mine was strictly just driven by the there's a similar phrase, I think or some variants of the same phrase over and over, which is whenever anyone new meets me and we are standing when we do the meeting, right? The first thing that everyone asks me, and even children still to this day ask, is, "How tall are you?" That is the first thing. That's the first observation that is made about myself, is just how tall are you? And I love asking kids the same question because it catches them off guard. So like 7th graders will be like, "How tall are you?" And I go, "I'm 6'6". "How tall are you?" And they're like, "I don't know." You should know how tall you are. Or they'll ask me, "How did you get so tall?" And I'll tell them I had tall parents and I ate all my vegetables. And then I ask them, "Do you have tall parents?" And they say, "No." And then I say, do you eat all your vegetables?" And they say no. And I go, "Well, looks like you're not going to be very tall."
Oh, dirty.
Dang.
So I just letting them know, and if they answer yes to one of those, I say, "Well, you got a 50-50 shot at being tall." Or if they answer yes to both, I say, "You got a really good shot. So keep eating your vegetables." But no, I think to answer your question, what the title would be is the title would be, "How's the weather up there?"
Oh,
good one.
That's good.
Yeah.
I actually like that, or just, "How tall are you?" I think that would be good.
Yeah, I thought I got big shoes to fill was my first go around because my size 15 shoes. But again, I didn't, that's too arrogant to be like, oh, I have big shoes to fill. I'm an important person. They're like, no, I'm just going to go with height. And
Yeah.
so how's the weather up there was my pick.
That's good. I like that.
That is a good one.
Colton?
Just living the dream.
Just living the dream.
The nightmare of the Colton Keel story.
Yeah. Nice.
I think I'd go with something like that.
Is that just something you say all the time? Like
Oh,
every
yeah.
other Hoosier out there?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone would know right off the bat, Midwesterner.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
So,
For sure.
yeah.
Simple, easy, relevant.
Yeah, because, I mean, everybody wants to know what the dream is.
Yeah. What is the
Everybody's
dream?
Everybody's dream's different.
Every day in the life of Colton, get up, brush his teeth, drive to work, go to work, come home, pick up the kid.
Talk to
Yep.
Gunner once a week, twice
Yep.
a week.
Yep. Sometimes 5 days a week.
Yeah, that has happened.
Yeah. We live excruciatingly awesome lives.
We're kind of a big deal. You don't know this, but we are.
Oh, speaking of my title. No, just kidding. That's not my title.
What's your title, brother?
See, I kind of had two answers. The first one was it'd be something stupid like Life, the Gunner Golden story. Just something plain simple, right? Dumb. But then
Yep.
I was like, I hear Jake's answer now, and I'm like, it would just be called Chico.
Chico.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just that's it.
Yeah.
And you know what? People would probably be like weirdly interested in what the heck that would mean. And then
Yeah.
they're watching, they'll be like, yeah, this is not what I was thinking it was going to be.
Click off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Chico. It's got some intrigue to it, a little mystery. It's
Yeah.
nice.
and for anybody that knew me would know that that's been a name I've been called since I was like 12. So,
Yeah. What's the origin story of Chico?
So my dad's buddy Scott, who we've talked about in past podcasts and past Golden Image podcasts, so my parents have 5 acres, and we used to on like the 4th of July weekends, or we'd have these yearly things called Slam Jam. Some people would camp out, but mostly on 4th of July, he'd pull his camper up or whatever, and we'd all have tents, and he'd get up, cook breakfast, all this stuff. But it was during that phase of my life I had really long black hair, and I was always wearing bandanas. And I mean, mid 2005 to 2009 probably, and he looked at me and said, "You look like Chico from Chico and the Man." And it just stuck. So Chico noise comes from that. Noise being, my mom would call me the noisemaker because I'm a drummer. And so I just put them together and created a YouTube channel called Chico Noise Productions. And that was that.
Gold.
Yep. So the origin of it's not that great, but it stuck and it's been there a long time. It's surprising how many people actually still call me that.
Yeah.
So, and now that we're podcasting and, I call myself that every week, it's picked up a little bit more. So,
yeah.
But I swear, Jared called me Chico through middle school all the way till till now, really. Yeah.
Thank you. Awesome origin story.
Nickname that has stuck for a long, long time. But yeah. We get some weird room tone going at Colton's house. Colton, do you want to explain any more about the house? Any of the moving in process? Anything that happened? And just like, did it all go well? I mean, it seemed to me while I was there that it went pretty well. Colton's kind of a dictator. Like
What?
the whole time. You do this. You do this. I need you here. You here. Grab this. Grab that. Go down here. Do that. Move this. Put that together. Do that. I need 16 people over here to help lift these slates for this pool table because they weigh 5 million pounds.
Anything else you want to vent?
No, that's about it. Hey, you did a really good job getting people to get it done. So props.
I like to think one of my strengths is being a leader and being able to navigate the people
Yes.
that I need something to help get done. Really, the best part of the moving experience was the fact that Jake was not there. Left me high and dry, a state away. So I really want to appreciate him for that.
And what was I doing?
Well, you double booked. Okay, you double booked, and I was the double booked. So of course I'm mad about that.
You're mad because I was already committed to something prior to your event.
After you already committed to my event.
No, I did not commit to your event. I said I would have to ask what we were doing.
False.
And then nope.
False.
Nope, not at all. You know what I love right now? The commercials that I love are those progressive ones where they have the challenge and then they go back and watch the replay of like what happened. You know, and you know what? If Progressive Insurance wants to sponsor the call, guys will gladly take their contact information.
Oh, I don't know. I worked at State Farm for a while. I don't know if I could do that.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm a licensed life insurance agent in the state of Indiana, Texas, and Minnesota, but it's fine. Okay, so we all have a little bit of conflicts, but it's all good. But no, we can go back and we can actually check that tape where we're calling and talking to each other, Colton, because I said I don't think we have anything, but I'll have to check with the one who keeps all of our plans, aka my wife. Okay, you know this. We have to check with our wives, make sure we don't have anything because I can't commit to it right now. Literally talk to her and she goes, "Oh, isn't that the weekend that we're going to go see your grandfather? You know, my children's great grandfather who's recovering from surgery." And I said, yes, it is. And I'll have to let Colton know that I'm not going to be available to help him move because I'm going to go see my children's great grandfather who's recovering from surgery.
Do not word it that way. You know,
is that not what we did?
You know what you are doing, okay? You know what you are doing when you say it like that.
We went to Louisville, Kentucky, where my grandfather is, and I took my children. And how is my grandfather related to my children again? How are they related?
You just literally led with that you went down there just for your children to see their great grandfather. That was it.
Okay, so you can recall and retain information. Awesome. That's just the test that I was doing with you a little bit. Appreciate that. So yes, we can start there. I'm glad that this is run to the spinoff. Jog on of whatever you needed, whatever other quote you need to do with it. Okay. I'm sorry I was unavailable for that, but please, Colton, proceed. How was the move? How did it go? I received feedback, but the fans didn't have feedback. Tell the fans.
Honestly, the move was the best part about the house selling process. You know, I'll go into a little insight. We'll go back a couple weeks here.
There it is. For those of you listening, Gunnar just found a red challenge flag and has thrown it in honor of me challenging Colton's statement that I committed to his move. Thank you for that, Gunnar.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I have a challenge flag upstairs.
Yes.
So
how was the move better than even selling the house? How was that?
Like I said, I think Gunnar kind of nailed it. I had enough guys, a lot of people there, that I could just say, hey, you guys go here, do this. Hey, you guys go here, do that. And everything went off without a hitch.
Actually, that's a lie.
Oh, what? Because you couldn't figure out the bed?
Oh, challenge flag. We have our second challenge.
Hitch. Jordan and I spent half an hour underneath your king-size two-piece freaking self-actuating bed. And we're like confused, you know, we're reading the manual for this thing and it says, all you have to do is connect the two and push the button and they'll go together.
Yes.
Come to find out, half an hour later, Jordan's like, I'm out. He's like, I'm done. He's like, I got to get home. I'm like, all right, I'll figure this out. And about 5 minutes after he left, I'm like, oh, no, I'm done. And then Colton and Bree walk in there, go, no, it plugs in the other side too. You have to have power going to both boxes. They don't just work together. You have to have power into both of them. I'm like, where's that cord? It's in the basement.
Lucas screwed us there for a second.
Yeah, Lucas.
So once Lucas got us the cord, we were able to fix the bed, and the bed worked just fine.
Sounds like a lot of blaming to me for the leader of the operation.
Who disassembled the bed, Gunner?
Lucas.
So, like I said, not my department.
Well, hey, everybody out there, Lucas will be on next week. He's going to hear about it. So
yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. That's going to be great. I'm going to love it. No. I mean, we just had enough guys. The pool table was my biggest concern. And that really went well. Went a lot easier than expected. So yeah. Got it in and out of the house pretty easy. Got it put together. It's level. I just got to refelt it and got myself a pool table again.
What do you suppose one of those slates weighs?
Individually, I'm going to say about anywhere from 3 to 4.
I would honestly say that's probably close.
Yeah.
Because walking up your basement stairs with those, and I didn't help go down with them because I don't even know what I was doing at that point.
No. That was a different crew that came for that part.
But man, those things are heavy. If you ever have to take apart a pool table, don't recommend.
I mean, I'll be honest. If somebody asked me, like, "Hey, could you help me take apart my pool table?" I would feel pretty confident in being like, "Yeah, I could do that."
Yeah. If Colton had his light on, you'd be able to see his pool table in the background. Still,
it's true.
Not all the way together, but
it's naked right now. But anywho, like I said, Saturday and Thursday were 2 great days, like 2 of the best days about this whole house process. Some of you know who listen, a lot of people who don't know, during the selling process of the house, you 9 times out of 10 have to do a home inspection, for the buyer. So buyer schedules a home inspection, and the home inspector who did our house fell through our ceiling, and the fun ensued after that. One thing after another. Yes, Jake, as you're eating on the podcast.
When you say I'm muted, so you don't have to tell people that, but thank you. Appreciate them. Okay.
We have people that watch on YouTube, so that's okay.
That's fine. Then they've seen you already yawn 6 times after we already talked about it the first time.
Why do you got to do that? Why do you got to just bring it back? You bring it back on me. I call you out.
Of course I'm bringing it back because you're gonna call me out on it, and now I'm gonna bring it back to you. Have you ever watched tennis? Have you ever seen ping pong?
Accept blame, and move on. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do is accept the blame and move on. This is our biggest problem in our entire G-Dang relationship. You just gotta send it back. You gotta send it back.
You return it, okay? Until one of us puts a little backspin on the ping pong ball, causes the other one to miss. Okay, point. Next point.
Continue with this.
Next serve for those of you watching on YouTube. You're welcome.
Just go.
Okay,
beautiful.
Shut up, Gunner.
So when you say that this individual who was doing the home inspection for your house fell through the ceiling,
yeah.
What? Okay, just so the listeners and the viewers can appreciate this a little bit. So the inspector is doing something in your attic. Is that what was going on there?
Correct. He was
looking around.
He was in the attic. He was trying to make sure I had enough insulation and all of the bath fans were connected properly.
Awesome.
No mold and no.
And how mildew. And for those who haven't been up in their own attic or been in an unfinished attic, to navigate up there, how do you properly navigate in an attic?
So there are trusses up there that your feet go on, and that is how you would navigate that. And I understand
1.5 inch wide board.
Yeah, it's an 1.5 inch wide board.
What's a truss?
Okay, Jake, are we just building a house here, or are we just being?
I want to assume. Okay, I want to assume that there are people in our audience that didn't construct pole barns during a summer or been part of home instruction that don't know what a truss is. Okay, then and what the difference is between a floor joist and a truss. Big difference. They're in totally two different places in your house, but there are people that don't know this. Okay, you have to explain it while we're going through this.
What is
It's your
the
first
normal?
time.
What is the normal spacing between two trusses?
Your
Is
first
it 24 inches?
24?
I can't believe I knew that.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Colton. Continue.
A truss holds up the roof.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
It is support. It is support for the house and everything else.
Okay.
There's insulation in there, so you can see where a truss is usually a triangle most of the time, if not all the time. So you have an idea of where the bottom board is on the truss. And this individual just happened to miss, and he caught himself with his arms out in between two trusses. And yep, the bottom boards. Sorry, I didn't have my camera up there to go through this whole thing.
I was, and maybe you
Can you
could make a
imagine if he had this
diagram.
if he had it recorded?
Can you,
No.
can
just
you do like
post
a drawing?
video.
Is there a way on Zoom for you to do the whiteboard so we can draw it? That'd be great.
So he falls through, he catches himself, and then he proceeds to fall the 8 feet from the ceiling to the floor. And yeah. So, and then we had that happen, and then we had some mishaps with the cleaning up and the process of fixing the hole, and it was a time to be alive. Probably the most stressful 2 weeks of my life.
Yeah, so if all of you remember the down Colton, the depressed Colton, and a couple weeks ago, that was why.
That was the week I was having. So yeah. And then I just found out, just so we know, we were supposed to take the washer and dryer Saturday.
Oh,
So I had to go back Monday and get that. So if anybody needs a washer and dryer, hit us up at thecallguyspodcast@gmail.com. I'll cut you a deal.
giveaway.
Is that a tax write-off? Did you just donate it to the Call Guys LLC as a tax
It's
write-off?
the Golden Mojo Entertainment LLC.
I
yes.
think
Golden Mojo, yes.
I think that could be our next giveaway.
Washer and dryer giveaway on the Call Guys. Wally Buxton washer and dryer. Are we gonna have people email to put their names in, and we'll discuss more in another pre-production meeting.
Yeah, we need a pre-production meeting.
We'll get the Emperor in on this. You in, Snake?
What is the flyer? Subscribe to enter to win gently used washer and dryer. Like new.
How about we'll sign the door? Gunner and I will sign the door.
Delivery included.
I got the truck.
Asterisk at the bottom that says, if you find one of William's socks, must be returned.
Yes. You can put one of those like car window stickers on it that says no warranty as is. Like you can't return it. No returns.
Could you imagine Gunner doing that wheel with all those names for that washer?
Oh my gosh. Just run the same wheel back, Gunner. Just do the same wheel.
They're gonna be
Must pick up, no deliveries.
That's right. Everyone's cheering. Please don't be me. Please don't be me. I don't want it.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny. Way too funny. So yeah, I got that. I mean, other than that, the move went great. I just got some flooring, some subflooring for the attic above my garage. I'm gonna put some boards up there so I can use it as storage. Jake, shut up.
So you don't fall through?
I was gonna say it, I didn't want to say it.
I'm not the one who fell through, so let's get that straight.
I don't know. You're getting older. Might happen.
Jake, I will make the trip to your house to have a conversation.
You can't find me. I'm not at my house. I'm not there.
I'll wait.
You don't know my room number?
Oh my. Okay,
All
so
right.
yeah, that was my yeah, as Gunnar explained a couple weeks ago, I was pretty down in the dumps, and that was the reason why. The house I have now is beautiful. It's great.
It is. It
Fantastic.
is.
Yeah, just like I said, just trying to get it around and get it ready for life. So it's a nice little upgrade we got here. So I'm pretty excited.
And all you call guys listeners out there that are listening and say, "Man, Colton needs to put some carpet down in there." You're right. Hang something on those walls, man.
I mean, the only problem is now is that if I carpet this room, gonna have some missing spots on the pool table.
Hey, that's okay. It's okay. You don't need to carpet the whole room. It just needs to be around you, and add some stuff on the walls. Get some. Actually, we could make you a nice cover for your microphone too. Actually, maybe we'll do that. That'd be easier.
It probably would
Kinda
be.
box
We
it
could-
in a little bit.
We could find. Do you think they got something like Sweetwater?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I think we should do that.
Okay. Trip to Sweetwater with
Done.
the Emperor.
Right off.
Yep.
Yep, right on.
Right on. All right.
Right
Are
on.
you guys ready? It's been a very long intro.
Oh,
This is
damn,
what
that was the
this is-
introduction? Oh,
this is what we
jeez,
live for.
okay.
Yeah. We hey, sometimes you just gotta BS for a good 40 minutes and then move on. Are you guys ready to talk about our subject for today? The question of the pod did kind of have a little bit of relevance into what we're going to be talking about, and that is the title of this episode, and that is based on a true story. Because tonight we are going to be talking about movies that have some actual historical relevance, anything that's based on a true story, anything like that. And we do know that most movies that are based on a true story, putting quotes up if you're watching on YouTube, they're not always historically accurate to a T. And that's just because movies are movies. Everything has its own twist. Everything has its own. I mean, you got to make it dramatic. You got to make it more cinematic. You got to write the script. If you're writing from a book, that's a biography, or you're making something off a documentary, it's not going to be 100% accurate. So everything we're going to cover tonight's not 100% historically accurate to real life events or whatever we're going to be talking about. They're just based on a true story. So that is what I am going to title this episode, and that is what we're going to be talking about. So we're going to do it. Top 3, 2, honorable mentions, 1. And who wants to start?
Do we want to have the guest start? Do you
Of
want me to
course.
start?
Oh, of course. Of course.
Yes.
Okay. So, since I think I came a little over prepared. I think on the last time I was here for our 2000s, I had large paragraphs that Gunnar really didn't enjoy reading because he doesn't like reading anything. So I tried to tamp it down, and I just made like little bullet points. Although the further we go, maybe the more into it I might get. But
That's
I think
perfectly fine.
I think yeah, and I was trying to reorder things. So again, knowing this topic a little bit and trying not to just go heavy onto World War II movies in particular, or just war movies that are, just are good stories, because the overarching plight in those stories are, the United States starts out not so well, eventually wins key battles, makes it to it, and ends up triumphantly taking down the Axis in 3 countries in World War II, right? Like that overarching story is just so gravitating, which is why so many movies are made about World War II, different events, and there's a lot of people that are involved in it. But anyway, so try not to do that.
Colton did tell me that you were a history teacher at one point.
At one point, I still am. I'm still licensed in the state of Indiana to teach social studies, so I could still teach social studies. Taught APOS history for a couple of years, and it was really good. Really had a really good group of kids that really cared to learn more specifics about U.S. history. But I think I will start with it being, in all my movies will be U.S. based, so based on true stories from the United States, because we could have taken that a different way, but I just decided to keep it that in that parameter. And so my first movie based on a true story is Lincoln. It is a more recent release about Abraham Lincoln. Daniel Day-Lewis plays Abraham Lincoln and does a phenomenal job portraying Lincoln, doing a good job trying to find his voice, which is always something that's very difficult out of somebody whose voice was never recorded because that technology didn't exist, but trying to figure out what maybe Abraham Lincoln would have sounded like and how he would have acted in his mannerisms. And the story of the movie Lincoln centers around the passage of the 13th Amendment. So hang with me, but the 13th Amendment, as it needed to get a 2/3 majority vote to pass in the United States Constitution, went through the House of Representatives. And the story is basically, how did that process work? And there's another historical figure in there. There are many that are mentioned in that movie, but one is Thaddeus Stevens, played by Tommy Lee Jones, who was a real representative who was part of a group that helped to aid in its passage. And the 13th Amendment abolishes slavery and indentured servitude in the United States, except as punishment. So if you still want to go back and look at the 13th Amendment precisely, there is still a clause that allows slavery as a means of punishment, but the cruel and unusual punishment clause of the Bill of Rights prevents slavery pretty much. So that is the only historical piece I'm really going to touch on with the movie. I will stop. That way it doesn't get too, Colton doesn't actually fall asleep. Thank you. It doesn't actually fall asleep in the middle of the podcast, but I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was very, very well done. I appreciated the intimacy and the specific event, because you could have made the movie about Lincoln's entire life and you could have focused on his assassination, or you could have focused on the war in general. And they really focused around the 13th Amendment and ending the Civil War. So my number 3 is Lincoln.
That's good. Being a big Bill and Ted fan, and as you were talking about it, I did point down at the poster sitting right here. In seeing, the way they portray Lincoln in that film compared to how, with studying and, learning as much as they could about Lincoln himself, and then portraying him in Lincoln compared to a comedy portraying Lincoln, 100% different. And then you have movies like Vampire Hunter, that are just
No, I had the joke. I was gonna say, well, my number 3 is, I'm glad Jake just led with that. It's gonna be Vampire Hunter.
Yeah,
please, no, please. I did not
very
even
much
want to
so.
bring it up. Golden Boy, but now you got to bring it up. And the fact that movie can exist, and it is an interesting watch. I mean, it is totally out there, and you're like, okay, but there are people who might believe that vampires existed back at the Civil War time, and that Lincoln helped to destroy them.
Man could use an axe. I'm just saying.
He could.
I don't know what you're so upset about. There are a lot of historical factual things in that movie. Like when he was in Indiana.
Name 3.
He was in Indiana. He went to Illinois, and he studied law.
Very much so, historically accurate.
You're welcome.
Yeah, yep.
He also fought vampires.
All right. Who's up next?
I'm kidding, but no, seriously, Lincoln is a very, very good movie. Not in my top 3, but honorable mention. I'll throw it in there for sure. I'll go next. We'll let Colton go third tonight.
Oh my.
Mine 2016, directed by Mr. Mel Gibson.
2016.
Give me back my son.
It's Hacksaw Ridge.
I'm sorry, Hacksaw. I'm sorry. That's the only thing I can think of Mel Gibson right now.
Yeah.
Yelling in ransom. Give me back my son.
Mel Gibson did not star in this, but he did direct it. And I did not. I was like Braveheart, close. I just didn't go for it. I don't know how really accurate that was to the time. I'm sure it was. I didn't really do a whole lot of research into it, but Hacksaw Ridge is a very interesting movie to me. I didn't really read up a whole lot about Desmond Doss, but I did read up like as in the accuracy of the movie as a whole, and they did say that it was very, very accurate, and it's a movie that I've just enjoyed watching. Andrew Garfield does a great job. He's a conscientious objector, and he goes through the whole film as a medic and never uses a rifle, and then ends up saving 75, I think, soldiers at the Battle of Hacksaw Ridge and Okinawa. And yeah, and it's just overall a stunning war film to me. I mean, you watch movies like Saving Private Ryan and different war movies that we've all enjoyed over long periods of time, and then this movie comes out, and just with the technology and the cinematography that we can do now and how amazing it is to watch something that can be filmed accurately and shown accurately and tell a great story. And he won a Medal of Honor, I think, for that too. So I mean, it's overall the story in itself is, I wouldn't say 100% accurate, obviously, but it's very, very spot on to his life and what he did and how everything played out for him. So the first time I watched it, really enjoyed it, and it's a movie that I've watched a couple different times and just fun watch. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it.
Yeah, and I think to make sure everyone understands exactly what the subject is on that, conscientious objector is an individual who on a religious basis believes that war and violence is wrong, and therefore when they are at this time drafted into whatever branch of military they are, but they are basically claiming that they have a religious exemption to war and therefore should not be drafted. But yet this individual still wanted to serve, still wanted to be a part of that, and chose to be a part as a medic to just save people rather than take somebody's life.
And his big thing is that he would not use a rifle of any sort. And still managed to do what he did without using a weapon.
Yes. It was excellent. I think Tommy Lee Jones plays was that staff sergeant?
Yeah. Yep.
Colton, what's 3 up and 3 down mean to you?
End of an inning.
End of an inning.
That's what it means to me.
So yeah, Hacksaw Ridge, 2016. I did not realize it was actually directed by Mel Gibson, which is very interesting. So
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's a very, very dramatic and good film.
Very nice.
Colton?
Very nice. I mean, Jake kind of took a lot of the wind out of the sails because I have a lot of most of my movies are war movies. It's just kind of the movies I grew up on. So I mean, narrowing it down is hard enough as it is. But I mean, I think one of the first ones that I remember that I thought, wow, that was really, really cool was a Nicolas Cage film, Wind Talkers. And using the Navajo code to be as their the way they spoke on the radio and got things out and done. That little bit of a history I think is really important. I think it's a really, really neat way that the United States found a way to get around the Germans breaking their code. And obviously, I think that's about the only thing that's historically accurate in that movie. Are those?
Is the use in the Pacific Theater where the Marines were against the Japanese. That's probably the extent. I think the individuals in that movie did not exist.
Oh, I don't think so either.
But I don't think there was a Nicolas Cage character who had PTSD and a scar and couldn't hear out of one side
too well. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So it's one of the movies that I remember watching as a kid, and mind you, it was a kid. I watched these movies that really stuck with me and stuck through for a long time. And it's to think that far outside of the box during a time when that wasn't really the norm to do, but in order to in order to get victories and get wins and to get positioning, they were able to utilize that, and I thought that was really cool. So
Yeah.
that's my number 3.
I had to read the plot on it while you were talking. I've never seen it. I have to go watch it.
It's an okay movie. Yeah. It's an interesting. It's
Number
just,
3, but it's okay.
That's fair. No, it's so funny that Colton's describing that, because that's what it like.
it's
It can get,
like
it can
if you're
get
going
lost.
to if you're going into like the movie aspect of it, it's just an okay movie. It's an action movie. It's you know how it ends. Like
Yeah. It's predictable. You can see things coming a little bit. It is a movie that can get lost, and because there's been so many movies in World War II, that one can get lost. But I think Colton makes a good point that it is very unique in how they use the Navajo language, which not very many people still know how to speak. I think it's a dying language, and they're trying to save it, being an indigenous population. And just was, I think, one of the scenes I remember from the movie when you were talking, Colton, was one I remember where it was a Japanese soldier who's listening into the words, right? And then
he's like,
subtitles. It sounds like they're speaking underwater. Like that's the way he described the language that they were using. But no, definitely a good one.
Nice.
Good one.
All right, Jake. Number 2. Make you cry?
No, it does not make me cry. It might make some people cry. I don't really know. It will make. I do know that it has made veterans experience flashbacks to the moments, and to which the case they had to actually seek help from Veterans Affairs because they were having a crisis, because they watched the opening scene of this movie and it caused their PTSD to be triggered and brought them back to this moment, to all of the death and destruction that they had experienced firsthand. And my number 2 is a Tom Hanks movie where he stars as the lead role of a fictional character. It is loosely based upon a historical event, a specific one. It is based around fact of World War II. It is my only World War II movie in the top 3, and that is Saving Private Ryan. And that the opening scene is a scene that I was talking about that caused PTSD flashbacks for veterans, where they went to the screenings and when they were at Omaha Beach, and there are a few things in the scene that when you look at it need to be changed to be historically accurate. Some of the obstacles are the logs are actually facing backwards. The MG42 that the Germans use, they had to fire it in shorter bursts than what is portrayed. Otherwise, the barrels would melt. And the amount of time it took is just very shortened. But it has to for a movie, right?
You're talking like the turrets up top.
Yeah. So like the turrets, when they're like firing the machine gun, they're like just holding it, and it's just going. But in reality, they had to do short bursts because it gets so hot.
Yeah.
And it would literally melt the barrels, or rounds would explode in the barrels. So they had to fire them in bursts. But the battle itself, on Omaha Beach, took hours to come to a conclusion. Multiple waves of infantrymen coming onto the beaches, and in the film, I think it's 30 minutes of the opening scene, and obviously that's just for the theater, so you don't want to spend 3 hours on one battle, kind of a deal. But the one thing that I did want to pause a little bit on the whole idea around Saving Private Ryan is they're looking for this one soldier, right, to go and to find, because all of it, the rest of his brothers had been killed, and that kind of is based on truth. And really what it comes down to is there were 5 brothers who served on an American cruiser called the USS Juneau, and they were all stationed in the Pacific. And on November 13th, 1942, a Japanese submarine torpedoed the cruiser, and it hit the munitions compartment and it exploded, and the ship sank, and all 5 brothers were killed. And those brothers had been asked to be stationed on the same boat so they could be in close proximity. And the United States military wasn't thinking of that at the time the war broke out. They just wanted as many men as they could. So they said, sure, you all can be on the same boat. And because that one tragedy occurred, they actually created at the end of 1942 a sole survivor policy, which later became, and I looked this one up, later became Directive 1315.15 Special Separation Policy. You can look that one up, and it's called the Surviving Son or Only Son Policy. And so, if in a family there were multiple brothers that were serving, and if one of them died, or 2 out of the 3 or 3 out of the 4 had died, the sole survivor would immediately be reassigned to non-combat duties, so that the family didn't have to endure all of their sons being killed. And so that is true. That's the true story piece of it. I don't believe there actually was a Private Ryan that they had to go save and do as dramatic as they did in the final battle, kind of a deal. But that was loosely based on it. And the other truth that I wanted to pause on was the Buxby letter that is read in a scene, which is written, and this is a throwback to my number 3, Abraham Lincoln, who wrote to a mother who had lost 8 or 9, I think it was 9 sons in the Civil War. And he wrote a letter to her to express his gratitude for her sacrifice for the Union in that. So I appreciated the Buxby letter, which is true, a true letter. You can look that one up too.
Well, I just learned way more about that movie than I ever thought I'd learn.
Hey, so I'm a history teacher. I'd love to dive into anything historical.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Any
great
questions?
Movie. No, it's just a great movie. Now, I will admit that the first time I watched that movie was Mr. Heater's class in high school, and I have watched I watched it many times since then.
Well, and I'm sure Mark Heater would love to know that was the first time you watched that, and then he could teach you something about that movie, and I can actually let him know that because he works in the same school district that I work in. So
there you go. Let him know.
I'll let him know that Chico Noise appreciated watching.
He'll be like, "Who the hell is that?" He doesn't remember me. He might remember my brother, but not me. I'm not that important, so it's all good. I'm going to get away from war movies here for a second. My number 2 does not make me cry.
Good.
No.
Good.
2008. It's based on the book called Bringing Down the House, and that is 21. The story of the MIT blackjack club that went to Atlantic City, went to Las Vegas, and counted cards and schooled the casinos out of millions. I'm pretty sure the final number was with that, there was over 100 different students that joined this club within the years that it was actually a club. And it was over $10 million that they had won from casinos by counting cards. Enjoy this movie because I do like Jim Sturgis. Jim Sturgis is a great actor across the universe. He was really, really good. But in this movie, he plays this really good, laid back, quiet. Now, I'm not sure that all the characters in the movie are actually based on the students. I think they're all just kind of fictional characters. But overall, it's just a really fun movie to watch. It's got some action, got some drama. You get to watch them count the cards, do the math, do all this stuff. It's really, really fun to watch. They're traveling to Vegas, they're traveling to Atlantic City, counting cards, winning money. It's just fun. I love the movie before I knew it was based on a true story. And once I learned that it was based on a true story, it was oh, well, why? Why did they want to do it? Obviously to pocket some money and get rich and all this stuff. But I just have always enjoyed it, and the drama and all the action they've added in to make it a little bit more interesting. I mean, just love it. Fun.
Got the old Vegas with the new Vegas in there a little bit.
Yeah.
And
yep. I don't know. I don't know. It's just fun.
It's a good movie. I like it. I enjoy it.
Yeah. Kevin Spacey is the teacher. I don't even remember what class does he teach in that? I don't remember. It's some yeah, I don't remember. But psychology or something way out there. But yeah, Lawrence Fishburne plays the main
He plays
detective.
he plays the old head security guy
Yeah.
the casinos.
Yep. Fun movie.
Yeah, fun movie. I like
Yeah.
I think my favorite scene in that movie is when they are teaching him how to count cards and what how to signal to how to signal to his players what words meant and where the count was. I thought that was pretty neat.
I think the fun part about it is you see a lot of like the twists and stuff, like Kevin Spacey's character is playing him, but he's also playing him towards the end, and then it ends up that he gets the upper hand. And I mean, obviously, all that's kind of fictional once you get around to that,
Yeah.
but just the idea that there was an actual group of students that was willing to get in trouble to go do this to make all this money, and eventually they get caught, and just fun.
Yeah.
You ever seen it, Jake?
Maybe. I don't really remember it. So
No.
maybe I did. I don't remember it. So I'd have to watch that one again.
I don't even know. It's on some streaming site. I don't remember which one it is, but yeah, 21.
Nice.
Great. What you got, Colton?
Does it make
my
you
number
cry?
2 it does not make me cry. Obviously it's a war movie to an extent. I like this one because of the timepiece of when we're at. We are in kind of ancient times, I would call them. Great movie. Everybody started to work out because of this movie. That is 300. The Battle of Thermopylae. Any type of ancient Roman, Greek. The movie Troy, another example. I thought about putting that movie here in this place. But I like the idea of the Battle of Thermopylae, and I don't think obviously it's not a shot for shot remake of how the battle actually went down, but just having to see what King Leonidas was dealing with Xerxes, the Persian army, and that visual and how they fought back then, and it was hand to hand, shield, swords, bows, like in your face combat. Like I felt like that's how it was. I felt like that was more accurate, the actual fighting aspect, not the location and the pass and all that all that stuff. I like how they portray Xerxes, how he was a godlike and portrayed as that and everything else. And I mean, outside of that, it's just a good action movie for that. Nice little fun. No thinking, no nothing, just swords and killing. So
Swords and killing.
so yeah, 300. I like those timepiece movies like Troy as well. And oh crap, man, there's can't think of it right now. It's gonna bug me, but there's another movie that takes place around that time that has Orlando Bloom in it. It's a pretty good movie. I'm gonna look it up, and yeah, so that's my number 2.
He's gonna look it up. We're gonna do honorable mentions.
Yeah, because that's gonna bug me.
It's not Kingdom of Heaven, is it?
Yeah, it is Kingdom of Heaven.
Kingdom of Heaven.
Those aren't exactly in the same realm of time period.
It's not? I thought it was.
No, you might want to look up when the Iliad of the Trojan army or the Trojan Wars was written.
Oh, geez,
Homer?
yeah, that's 12th century.
Yep.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Still a good movie, though. Still a good movie.
What, Kingdom of Heaven?
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah,
I enjoy it.
Yeah, I wouldn't equate those at the same time periods, but I think the technology of warfare was still very similar. Maybe that was part of it. Was that the technology was very similar? What you got now?
Troy came out in '04, Kingdom of Heaven '05, and 300 I think was '06. So yeah,
so
that's where
6, yeah. They all came out. They all came out the same year. They got to
they
all
all
be
came-
around the same time.
they all came out around the same time. So that's where I got confused.
Yeah, that counts. Totally counts. I mean, the fact that Christianity wasn't even really a big of a deal in the time of Troy and the time of 300 with Thermopylae, but yet Kingdom of Heaven is all about the battle of Muslims
holy war.
versus the Christians. It's the
It's a holy-
Crusades.
It's a holy war.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's all good. That's all good. I do need to pause because I need to correct my own mistakes on it. It's Bixby, not Buxby letter, and she had 5 sons. She didn't have 9, so I don't know what I'm talking about really sometimes. But the Bixby letter went to a madam who lost 5 sons. Doing that.
It was. He
Very
doesn't have
simple.
his history teacher notes in front of him.
I don't, but I love the letter. So if nothing else, just type in Bixby letter and read it. It's 3 paragraphs. I think it's like 10 sentences long. It's not a very long letter. It's a quick one that Abraham Lincoln wrote, but
4 score
So-
and 7 minutes.
also you can. I'm actually listening to the Lincoln autobiography, which is why he's on the front of my mind probably. Which actually talked about how the Gettysburg Address, there was, I forget the name of the gentleman who spoke before Abraham Lincoln, but he spoke for 2 hours, and then Lincoln got up and spoke for I think it was under 5 minutes with his Gettysburg Address. And nobody remembers anything that the first person said for 2 hours, but we remember what President Lincoln said. So anyway, honorable mentions, moving on. Right
good segue.
on
Good
to that. Thank you.
segue.
I like it.
So couple of honorable mentions for me, and I won't dwell on them too long. We'll get to our number ones. I have Apollo 13 with Tom Hanks and the NASA disaster and then recovery, trying to get them the crew back from their failed mission to land on the moon. I have Titanic, which again is based on a true story. Yes, the boat sank. Yes, it sank in a similar fashion. Yes, a lot of people died. That's pretty much where it ends because there is no Jack and there is no Rose. Those people never existed, and there is no Heart of the Sea necklace. None of that happened. So
People escaped on longboats.
Yep, people got into lifeboats, and some of them still died from hypothermia even when they got into the boats. So it's
Some
fine.
cold water.
It's cold water. People died within minutes of being in the water. Anyway, Titanic. Band of Brothers, not a movie, but a series, also around World War II, based on
Nice.
true story. That one's actually more historically accurate, probably, than anything else on the list, just because the length they went to tell the stories.
Do you think that TV shows can be more historically accurate because of their time frame they have to do episodes?
Absolutely. I think
so too.
movies only have, a set amount of time to smush everything in and make sure that it still follows a typical story pattern and has, conflict along the way and rising action and climax and then falling action, resolution, and all that stuff. That
Agree.
makes a good story, but they just have a fewer, they can't have 12 hours. to
As
have
Colton says, it's one screen.
It's one screen. That's right, it's
Yeah.
one screen. So Band of Brothers could definitely throw the Pacific in there as well. Just didn't connect as much on that. And then lastly, on the honorable mentions, almost made it in, but I kept Saving Private Ryan. That was a movie called Downfall, which is actual German movie about the last couple days in Berlin during the end of World War II, and it centers around Adolf Hitler and just what occurred in the bunker in Berlin as the Soviets were closing in to Berlin, and some of the lines and the events are taken directly from Hitler's diary and firsthand accounts of individuals that were in the bunker in those last couple days. So if you haven't seen it, Downfall, it's kind of hard to find, I think, sometimes, but it's definitely worth the watch for anyone who's looking for a historically accurate about that end of the World War II time period.
Nice. There's I took 4 semesters of German in college as my language, and Germany has an amazing history overall. Obviously, not a history that anybody really wants to applaud or, really think about. But the history of Germany is something of like if you want to learn something and actually dive into something, it's very deep and you can get really far into it, and kind of amazing what they went through between the wars and even now. I mean, Germany's still all over the place. So yeah, great honorable mentions. I will say Apollo 13, when you said it, I was on my head because it's also in mine. I love Apollo 13. I do have Troy in there, which you guys have talked about. Braveheart, which I talked about earlier. Deepwater Horizon, I think is also a very great movie. Pearl Harbor, fun to watch. Very
No, veto.
The movie sucks. The only thing historically accurate on that movie is Pearl Harbor and the Japanese bombed them. Everything else is BS.
One more. The Doolittle raids did occur, did happen within that time frame, and they did launch off of aircraft carriers. So Doolittle raid did happen. I'll give you 3. Can we do one more, Colton? Just say 3.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
movie still sucks.
all right. Take it out of my list. Go ahead.
You should
Fine.
take it off. Get
And
it
then
out of here.
I'm gonna put another one in there. It's another Mark Wahlberg film, The Fighter.
Ooh.
Wow.
I
Okay.
love The Fighter. I don't know if you guys ever seen it.
That's a great
Christian
movie.
Bale.
I like that one.
You chose that one over Cinderella Man? Interesting.
Well, I'll get to another one here in a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
Good job, Jake. Piss off, Jake.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's not Cinderella Man.
Cut that out. Oh, okay. All right. Just cut my whole thing out. Just end it.
And stop. Podcast over. Sorry. Bye. Plugs.
Oh,
And it just goes right to Colton. Colton, how about you? Those are Gunner. Those are here. Started. Gunner. Those are great.
I'm not cutting any of that.
This is how the magic would happen for you at home.
Yes.
Is that what happened? I would say.
Yep.
I would say something. I wait for Gunner to stop making any noises. Then I would say, Gunner, those are great.
Yeah.
Honorable mentions. Colton, how about you?
Yeah, obviously I've got Saving Private Ryan. I've got
I'll throw that in mine too. Sorry.
I've got Tombstone.
Ooh, all right.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I love a good Western.
310 to Yuma.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Open Range is probably more historically accurate.
Stop.
But yeah, a real big wider fan. Glory. I'm kind of surprised you didn't say that one, Jake.
I should have. Now that you say that, it should be on at least honorable mentions.
That's okay. Hey, that's okay.
We can add them as we go. It's okay. I'm not gonna judge. I do
Gunner does it. Those are the rules. Them's the rules.
Them's the rules.
Yeah. You got Sands of Iwo Jima. You've got I mean, there's just so many war movies out there.
The Longest Day, with the Alamo. Just start doing John Wayne movies.
I could start doing John Wayne movies at this point in time. The Green Berets, Siege of Five Brace Gloria, Hamburger Hill. You can do Full Metal Jacket. Takes place in Vietnam. There's boot camp.
Little bit of accuracy there.
A little bit. Good Morning Vietnam.
Hey, yeah. Good Morning Vietnam would be another one.
Jacket.
That's actually, it's funny that you bring up Good Morning Vietnam, because my grandfather was a CB in Vietnam, and he remembers Adrian Cronauer. He remembers those shows. He remembered those shows.
Yeah.
And I think Robin Williams the real Adrian Cronauer did a skit on the VP who went over to Vietnam, I think, and gave a speech, and he cut it up and acted like he was, making fun of him like Robin Williams did in the movie. I think that may be accurate. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But yeah. A lot of Vietnam movies. You could probably put Tropic Thunder down there as well.
What do you mean, you people?
This is Flaming Dragon. Spewing with us now. Okay, Flaming Dragon. Okay, Flaming Dragon.
A great Tom Cruise role movie.
Oh, for sure.
Him and
The
Matthew
role you never
McConaughey.
expected, yeah.
Him and Matthew McConaughey. Oh my.
Special Jack. Simple Jack.
Simple Jack.
Simple Jack.
Simple Jack.
Yes.
Simple Jack.
Oh my. All I know the sounds it's when it takes a man's life.
I know the sounds it makes when it lies. That was that's probably one of my favorite quotable quotes from that movie. Okay, get back on track here. These are
we're in the
honorable
wrong
mentions.
Are you done, Colton? Are you done?
Yeah. I'm done. I'm done. Jake,
Hey, you got another one. You had another one. What was it?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't think I do.
Okay.
I said them all. So,
yeah.
Jake, what is your number one?
All right,
brother?
cut, edit right here. Here we go.
Cut and edit right now. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. That's
don't be disrespectful.
It's based on a true story, right?
Time travel is real.
Time travel is real. In a phone booth by George Carlin.
Phone booth right there.
All right.
There's my Christmas tree chopper.
My number one. Thank you for asking, Gunnar.
Yes.
My number one.
Does it make you cry?
I don't believe that it made me cry.
That's not a question we asked for number one, anyways.
It's fine. It might have. Or maybe it was when I was reading the book, but it ties back to books to movies as well.
Nice.
It's a book that I read the book before I watched the movie. Because I knew the movie was coming out. It was just being promoted to come out, and it was based on the book, so I wanted to read the book. And the book was Lone Survivor by Marcus Luttrell. And in the book, and I'm going to talk about the book first because you got to read the book. I mean, even if you've seen the movie, you still need to read the book, because the book goes back and forth from understanding boot camp and understanding what Navy SEALs have to go through in order to become a Navy SEAL, how that process works, and how many individuals don't make that team and don't make it to graduation. Even if they are some of the toughest individuals, they still cannot make it through. And you can say you're the most mentally tough and physically fit individual and still not make it. And so it's just incredible to see who can endure that amount of pain and downright torture sometimes to make it through and graduate and become a Navy SEAL. And so the book and the movie, Marcus Luttrell actually acts, he's a character in the movie. He's actually in a few scenes within it, but it's a story of 4 Navy SEALs who are in Afghanistan and are trying to get intel about a local Taliban leader, and end up getting ambushed. And most of the story, again, is true. These 2 individuals that were herding goats came across them. They had conflict whether or not they were going to kill them, whether they should let them go. If they let them go, they'd probably alert right where their unit was. They end up deciding to let them go. Ambush occurs very quickly after that. Marcus Luttrell is he was the medic. He's the only one that survived, which is why it's called Lone Survivor. Spoiler alert. But Michael Patrick Murphy, also an individual, and the Battle of Murphy's Rock, I believe is what it's called, or Murphy's Hill, in the book, and that's outlined in the movie. And they do a really good job of showing how he made a call and sacrificed himself to make a phone call where they couldn't get much reception, and he went out of cover to make that call, and I believe earned some sort of distinguished honor for that, a medal of some kind. I don't know if it was a Medal of Honor exactly, but he definitely was honored for that. Matthew Axelson and Danny Dietz also were killed, and the rolling was very interesting. The way they roll off the hill, they have to jump off this cliff, and they're just rolling. And part of the scene is that they're just like falling and breaking parts of their bodies and hitting their heads on rocks and trying to still fight and be effective. And that was absolutely true in it. When Marcus ends up in a village and ends up being taken care of by a villager, that also was accurate. And he spent a couple days actually in the village, again sped up for the movie, but until he was finally rescued. But the book by far dives deeper into the training that goes in front of it, the training that goes beforehand, the relationships that these men have with each other, to be that intimate and go through that much pain and suffering together, and then come out bonded that way. And you can tell the love that Marcus has for Michael, Matthew, and Danny, who lost their lives during that time. And but it also flips back to his upbringing in Texas and his family, and it's such a deep dive that it was one of the best books I've ever read. And the movie was also really, really good, and that was on Mark Wahlberg, so nod to old Marky Mark as well on that. And it was just well done, and I just really enjoyed reading the book and watched the movie, so that's why it's my number one.
So you're gonna send us an email that says to read Lone Survivor, correct? And add it to the list.
I mean, I tell you right now, if you're able to get Audible, and if you just want to listen to it instead of having to read it on an audiobook, Lone Survivor would be one of my top picks for you to read.
Yeah, I'll add it to the list.
Add it to the list.
We know I love to read, so yeah. Colton, I think you're gonna have to switch your number one to a Mark Wahlberg film,
Oh no.
because
not.
my number one is also a Mark Wahlberg film, and it is a 2006 film directed by Erickson Core. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I actually watched this movie on the flight home from Las Vegas because the Chiefs are playing the Eagles this coming weekend, and that is Invincible.
EA.
Yeah. I forgot how much I love this movie. I watched it, and I don't know. I think Vince Papale is such a charismatic and just kind of down to earth guy that just wants to live his life, right? And the movie's not fully accurate, obviously. I mean, it's a drama. Now it is true that oh gosh, I forget the freaking coach's name. Dick Vermeil does actually come from UCLA, go to he gets brought in by the Eagles, hired as a head coach, and he does host open tryouts to the people of Philadelphia to come in and actually try out for the team. Obviously not expecting anything. He just wants the people of Philly to be excited about the Eagles season coming up because they're doing so terrible. And he gets these people to come in, finds Vince Papale. Now, in the movie, Vince Papale is a bartender. He's down on his luck. His wife's divorcing him. He's all this stuff, which is true. He's down on his luck. His wife's divorcing him. He's broke. But he is more of a sportsman than what they say. He's playing like garage football he's playing out in the field with his buddies. But realistically, he was actually playing like a minor league football. He was playing, I don't remember what, the Philadelphia Bells or something like that. And it's just interesting to see that turn to make him more like, make you kind of connect with him a little bit more. But he was playing an actual like professional sport at the time when he went and tried out. And then they brought him on the team. He ended up playing 2 years, 76 to 78. And it's a fun movie to watch. I mean, they do kind of dramatically do they overrate the play where he tackles the guy at the end for the fumble, and he runs it 60 yards back for a touchdown when it was actually in real life 15 yards maybe.
He didn't score. He didn't score.
He didn't score?
No, he ended up running. So they're playing the Giants, and he ended up running the coverage team into the receiver, the punt receiver, and he fumbled the ball, and Papali recovered it, and then they scored on the next drive. So
Okay.
he never scored. He has no career touchdowns. They made that.
They made that up just for dramatic
It was
effect.
the climax. I mean, if you're gonna make a movie, do you want the climax to be that he just recovered a fumble, or do you want it to be that he recovered a fumble and returned it for a touchdown in Eagle Stadium? Of course they're gonna make it.
Yeah.
Touchdown.
It's the underdog story that everybody wanted to see, and rewatching it on the plane this past weekend, it just made me feel good because it's one of those stories that is a underdog up and coming kind of story, and Vince Papali I just think was a player that everybody loved because of the way he made it into the league. And I mean, we could talk about Dick Vermeil for days, I'm sure. Yeah. We got to. But Invincible.
Excellent choice.
Love the movie.
Should have been on my honorable mention.
Yeah.
Should have been.
Love it. Then hope the Eagles lose this weekend.
I should have put semi-pro on mine.
Yes.
I'm surprised I haven't heard a sports film from Colton yet. So I'm hoping his number one sits in sports. I'm surprised, Colton. Are there no sports movies out there that are historically accurate enough for you to say, hey, Hoosiers, is it accurate at all?
Yeah, it is to an extent.
Kind of.
I mean, the schools they played, if you go to class basketball, Milan would have been a 3A school back in that day. So it would have been a bigger school. I mean, I think the teams they played, they did play South Bend. They did play the South Bend team for the state championship. And I believe that was at Butler's, that was at Hinkle.
Yeah, Jimmy Chitwood is a fictional character, though.
Yeah, Chitwood's.
That name isn't true. It's Bobby Plump is that individual's name. So it's based on a true person named Bobby Plump, not Jimmy Chitwood. But Jimmy Chitwood just sounds better, I guess. I don't know.
Change the name. It's all good.
On that, I also don't know that that there is. Oh my gosh, I just blanked on his name. It's the drunk guy, and the whole time he's the assistant coach. Yes, it's Hopper. Yes, I'm not sure that part is accurate. I'd have to look into that. No. That created some more drama for him.
Yeah, Indiana. It is Indiana.
It not saying it's not possible. I don't know. I'm questioning whether that piece was historically accurate too.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to let you down, guys, but Patriot Games is not my number one to keep the Marky Mark realm going. So I'm sorry.
Transformers.
Definitely 100%. I mean, the fact that I've seen them in the wild. Yeah.
Ooh, how about The Other Guys? Right, it's a crime movie. That's based on a true story. It's
based on
Will Ferrell.
That's actually isn't that based off of the Goldman Sachs, the 08 crisis?
Yeah, financial crisis. Yeah, Big Short. Yeah, it's the same thing.
It was a Big Short would have been a good one. Anywho, let's digress. My number one though takes place in 1877, and it is about a revolution of a nation. It's a Tom Cruise movie where his character travels to Japan. What, Jake?
Keep going.
It's The Last Samurai. Okay, Jake, let's just get this out. You can it's simmering on your mind. Let's hear it. What is wrong with that movie? What is wrong?
Go. What is The Last Samurai about? Go ahead.
It's about the about the Japanese wanting to become more modern and westernized and to try to get away from the old ways of the samurai. And it talks about that the rebellion of man, I'm gonna mess this up. The Satsuma Rebellion. Definitely did not say that right.
It's close enough. You're right.
But that was it was the transition period that Japan was going from the old ways to the new ways, and how they struggled with taking the way of the samurai essentially out of how they do their business and how they run their country. And I think the only reason why Gunnar really watched Invincible was because you need to know your enemy. And I don't think anything too much is too historically accurate in that in that movie outside of the rebellion and the westernization of Japan.
I think maybe Colton, that's where my shaking of the head lied. But you're right. That phrase right there is probably where it's all rooted. Please.
It is Hans Zimmer, though.
It is Hans Zimmer. Yes, thank you, Gunnar, for throwing in a composer that's done hundreds of scores for movies. Thank you.
But beautiful.
It was beautiful. That last scene, that last battle scene is beautiful.
You know what, Hunter? You're right. Now that Hans Zimmer he composed it, it makes it more historically accurate.
But still, Hans Zimmer. Hey, stop.
Full stop. Hans Zimmer, argument over. You're right.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's good. It's good. I really enjoyed that movie. I just think it's a beautiful movie. Yes. Of how a civilization that was the samurai, I would say, was being forced out, and how that hurt that nation to an extent, I would say, but they wanted to go elsewhere.
Yeah, I agree with you, Colton. I think it is one of my favorite movies too. It is a really good story. It's a really good movie. I think that the parameters of based on a true story would be like loosely based on a true story. Like, yes, you framed it very appropriately to give like the overall box is like true, but like everything else that we're going to talk about and see and discuss never really happened.
I'm sure there was a Westerner that came over and taught them Western battles, formations, and battling and all that fun stuff.
And
taught them how to shoot.
Was captured, taught the samurai way, converted, returned to the Western individuals, went back to the samurai and had a last stand, like the Battle of Thermopylae.
Against modern Japan army. Yeah.
Modern weapons. The Gatling gun. Actually, the Gatling gun might be the most historically accurate thing in that entire battle. Is the howitzers, the artillery, and the Gatling gun. Which is great. Hunter, do you know who the Gatling gun is named after?
You mean Gunner? Did you call him Hunter?
Maybe. I think I said Gunner. I don't know. Maybe Hunter.
No,
I don't know.
Hunter. He said it twice.
Hunter?
He said it twice, but I've called him Jake this entire episode, and I have refrained from calling him his brother's name this whole time, but he calls me Hunter, and it's I'm not going to say, I'm crying, my number 2 makes me cry. No, I'm just kidding. But
yes, Jake, I would like to know more about the Gatling gun.
The score to the movie is great. Hans Zimmer did a great job. Okay,
he did.
Go ahead.
He did. Gatling was created by Dr. Gatling, who's actually a physician, I believe, or a dentist. I forget which one, but wanted to find a more efficient way to fire a gun. So came up with the idea of the Gatling gun. But yeah, anyway, Hans Zimmer did a wonderful job. He's done a wonderful job. Are we just going to go over our top 3 composers, or
eventually one of these days.
That is an episode.
Perfect. Sports movies. Are you going to do historical sports movies as well?
I think I covered most of that in this, and no.
You should do movies that we wish were based on a true story, or that we hope will be based on a true story. So it's like Blade Runner. I hope that's based on a true story someday, right?
That Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
I was
Bring it
gonna
on.
say, Gunner's gonna have so many time travel movies.
So many time travelers.
It will happen eventually.
Back to the
Just
Future
saying.
2.
Back
I
to
just-
the first one.
iRobot. I mean, come on, it's gonna happen.
Based off
Uh,
a book. That's a book to movie.
World War Z.
It is
Ooh.
World War Z. Ooh, have you guys watched The Last of Us?
I have, yes.
I haven't yet.
Oh, okay. Well, then
I heard it's
Col-
good.
It. Go ahead.
No, you go.
Yes. As compared to the game, the first episode definitely pulls some of those feels from playing a video game. They kind of loosely base it as it goes on. And the
That's
third
what I've
episode
heard.
the third episode's very, I don't even know how to explain it in terms that won't offend anybody. That's the problem. Like it's very woke, I would say. Like they bring in different things that are very
So the message is
very
alive and well
to
in
today's,
this.
yes, exactly. But
Great.
a very good episode, to be honest with you. I couldn't stop watching it because of what happens with the characters in that episode. But it's definitely interesting. You should watch it.
You should watch it, Colton. I've never played the video game, but I've seen clips of it as compared to what they're shooting in it, and it's like scene by scene, line by line. Like some of the dialogue, the script is actually from the video game, which is pretty cool. To get that throwback on it, Gunnar, I'm going to push back on you a little bit. I absolutely did
Please
not
do.
like the third episode, and not for.
I think most people didn't like the first episode, and the third episode. Sorry, and that's
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, but I didn't like it not because of like the wokeness or whatever, everything that's woven into that. I didn't like it just strictly out of the waste of time that I felt with it. So if you started where they ended for episode 2, what they were going for at the end of episode 2, and what they started on episode 3, they're traveling and they're trying to find supplies, pretty much is what they're trying to find. And then you get to the end of episode 3. What did they accomplish? What did they get?
Absolutely nothing. I mean, you didn't see the main two really at all
No.
until they arrived to that point at the end of the episode, and you get the whole correspondence between what has happened and why they gave that backstory. But I think they could have done more for that. There's certain things that I think didn't happen that they portrayed that did happen, and I think that's going to change coming up here in 4, 5, 6, whatever they bring up. But
well, I hope so. I hope they bring something out of that, because the payoff
they have
for
to.
that, the payoff for that entire episode was that, I'm sorry, Colton, if this spoils anything for you, but I just watched an hour and 15 minutes for them to now have a truck and more supplies. Like that.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Like,
Yeah.
That's the only thing that happened that's going to move this entire series forward, is the fact that now they have a vehicle and they have supplies. And I watched an hour 15 of backstory that I don't think I needed. Like, you didn't have to have that. You could probably cut that entire thing out and it would be down by one less episode. So maybe it was just a filler that they had to do, and they had to, maybe they had to throw back that character because it was such a big character in the game. Maybe, I don't know. I didn't play the game, so
Yeah.
So the one thing I've seen is that evidently there is a relationship of the main character and another character where in the TV show they're friends or they like each other, but in the game they absolutely hate each other. That's the only thing I've been seeing on my social media. And I have no idea who the characters are. I don't know any names. But yeah, there's
Colton, go watch clips from the game. Just kind of get a little bit of insight on what it's about, and then go watch the first 3 episodes. By the time this airs, you'll have 4 episodes. Obviously, we don't know what happens in the 4th episode because we're recording this on Thursday. It comes out on Sundays, I think.
Sundays.
So, just watch some clips. Just watch some background. Read some background on it. I think it's definitely worth the watch. I know Tusop has talked about a little bit that it's something that they're all interested in. But Jake, I will say that the 3rd episode being a filler, I do agree with you that it's a filler episode, was very compelling overall. I think that it kind of drug you in and made you want to watch because you felt for the 2 characters that were the main 2 in that.
Yeah, I mean, it did. I just don't. I don't know. It just didn't. I guess I didn't connect with it as well enough, and neither did my wife to like care enough that I've seen people like crying about it, like they were in tears at the end of that, and it's like, no, like
No, definitely no, not in tears for sure, but
no. I mean, really, the only pull really that you feel right now is Tess. Like that's the only
oh yeah,
that I still feel that a little bit. Like, yeah, that stinks, but I still don't. It's not even that heavy because we didn't even develop her character that much. Like, and I get, yes, that's how it goes in the game as well. But she's whatever.
And spoiler warnings. The letter at the end definitely made you feel that
Yeah,
when he walks out and after she says Tess and he's reading the rest of it and yeah.
yeah. Which I guess that's what my wife said. Like, you had to get to the point where he was a protector, right? Like he needs to go protect now. He needs to go now protect the girl. But it's like I told my wife, well, you didn't need this whole episode to do that.
No.
You could have just he could have been more connected to his dog. Sorry, Colton, have you seen any of it?
No.
Okay, stop listening. So
the guy that played zombies for hours upon hours upon hours on end has not watched The Last of Us and or played the video game, which absolutely surprises me beyond belief.
This is an Xbox family.
Yeah, I know.
It's a Sony exclusive.
At least watch the game.
True. But I felt like you could get that same protector feel from his daughter and what happened to her. And now he sees his daughter more in this girl but they made her so opposite that you don't feel like he can't feel that. If they would have made her more similar, they could have gotten to the same result of him being a protector. That's why I felt like this was such a filler. Like, okay, we had to get to him feeling like he's a protector. We could have done that a different way and cut out this entire episode. But I digress. It's not the Among Us podcast, it's the Call Guys podcast. And this was about historical accuracy
Among Us
of movies.
The Last of Us.
Yeah, The Last of Us.
Let's talk about Among Us. They did bring it out in VR. I have not bought the game yet, but I do want to play Among Us in VR because it looks actually really fun.
Is that a first person or a third person? It's a first
person Among Us. Interesting. But yes, go watch The Last of Us if you haven't watched it. I was actually going to bring it up in the end of the show. Surprisingly, is in my notes that I was going to bring it up. But Jake, thank you for bringing it up. The other thing is, like we've talked about this last week. If you have not watched any of National Treasure, go watch it. I think it's a very interesting show that's bringing on a little bit extra to the movies that we all love. And I actually rewatched the second one the other day. It was on for some reason. I rewatched it and they're just enjoyable. The puzzle stuff. Colton and I have been to 3 escape rooms together.
Yeah,
right?
Sounds right.
And just watching those puzzle things like that and finding treasure and doing all that stuff. So yeah, if you haven't watched National Treasure, go watch it. The show, it's on I think it's on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Go check that out. Go check out The Last of Us. Go check out That 90s Show. If you haven't watched that yet, it's very fun to watch. Really corresponds to That 70s Show if you love that. Anything else, Colton, that's come out in the last couple months that we've been watching that you love?
Man, not really. Not that I can think of. I've been really struggling with the new stuff. We're almost done with Modern Family. Doctor Who. I'm still stuck in Doctor Who. So, which I'm surprised you need to watch that. You would like.
I do. I know.
I think you'd enjoy it. All that time travel.
Time travel is a good thing. Jake, what about you? You been watching anything that is good?
Been watching Among Us. Been watching The Last of Us. That's been a show that my wife and I are starting to watch together. In that, I was rewatching Mission Impossibles, which was something that I hadn't really dug back into. I have to admit though, I skipped the second one. I cannot watch Mission Impossible 2. It is the worst one. It's pretty bad.
Rough. It's
okay. Rough. What director Wu did to that movie is a crime. Yeah, it's a crime. So anyway, I rewatched one, which was like kind of, it was good. It was just like after you've seen like the newer Mission Impossibles, it's hard to see Tom Cruise different like that.
Mm.
Watch the third one, Philip Seymour Hoffman, right? Rest in peace. That was a good little bad guy on that. The rabbit's foot. Totally forgot about that.
Go watch Twister. If you want a good Philip Seymour Hoffman role, go watch Twister.
Right.
And then go watch Hunger Games.
Food. No, I agree with Colton. Then go watch Along Came Polly. Go watch
Yeah, there you go.
You need to watch Along Came Polly for the basketball scene. Make it rain. white chocolate. Teardrop. He throws it like over the backboard.
But Twister though? Twister?
No, and I think Gunnar, hold on. Before we get back to Twister, I think it's the scene where Ben Stiller has to play against the guy that's super hairy and sweaty, because Colton and I both can relate to like playing morning basketball, shirts and skins, and playing when you're like a younger kid and you're going against the grown man who's like 40 and just as hairy and sweaty. And he goes up for that shot and it comes down on Ben Stiller's face. And he's just
slow motion.
And then he has to like shake it and it like spit. Oh, that was beautiful. Twister, yes, one of the probably my number one for historically accurate films. In that, so Dorothy being from the Wizard of Oz, and the idea that they could cut up aluminum pop cans to make the balls float better, like catch the wind like a sail, and then they can get this 3D model to know that a tornado spins.
There's an eye.
Yeah, that there's like an inner tornado, and that, believe it or not, people don't die from the debris field around a tornado. They must die from something else. We just don't know.
Yeah, all those sharp pieces of wood flying through the air that could just penetrate your skin and kill you.
They're in a hut that just disintegrates, but it doesn't kill them. They're just flying around, their feet up, and then the Twisters are gone. And it's probably one of the most historically accurate. It is my number one. I take back everything I said about Lone Survivor. It is Twister, hands down, number one overall.
Now, I do want to say that I was just saying it was a great Philip Seymour Hoffman role.
He has like 4 lines in the entire.
But he's such a funny dude in that movie.
Yeah, but at 4 lines, he's got like he's got like 30 lines in Along Came Polly, and he's much funnier. He comes up with he goes, I just sharted. Like he goes through the entire description of sharting. Okay, and I'm not going to explain it for the viewers. There's young listeners here, and they can go back and YouTube it. Okay,
it's when you shit when you fart.
It's when you try and fart, okay, and a little bit comes out. That's how it's phrased, and he needs to leave immediately. This has got an issue. Okay.
What's a trust, Colton? What's a trust?
Do you see how we're behaving now? This is all because of his role in Along Came Polly, not in Twister. Not in Twister. That should not be your go-to.
We digress.
Gunner, you got my socials?
I'm sorry I asked.
Oh, the Wheezy laugh.
And you wanted to watch a Hunger Game movie?
Yep. Hunger Games.
I was going to watch Twister. I was going to watch Twister. Jake, I do appreciate you coming on to the Call Guys podcast. You know it.
Hey, anytime to give the people what they want. Just a few laughs, a little bit to pass the time, a little bit of banter. Had that earlier with Colton. He was getting a little pissed, and that's fine. That's the way it rolls. Okay. A little bit.
If you have a home inspection, somebody falls from your ceiling, I'm sorry, I saw how Colton felt.
Yep. You've got a right to be pissed. Okay. I get it. But the relationship between my children and their great grandfather is very important. So I'm sorry I couldn't move any items.
And if you want to watch a very historically accurate movie, It's right here. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Abraham Lincoln, 100% accurate representation of the character.
So crates.
So crazy, yeah.
So crazy. Hey, we're just dust in the wind, dude.
Just dust.
It's Socrates for those who haven't seen the movie. They call him
it's
Socrates.
It's
That's
Socrates.
true.
Hey,
That's true.
who is Joan of Arc?
Who is Joan
Noah's
of Arc?
wife.
That's a movie we should have had. We should have had Noah with a Russell Crowe. That was a historically accurate film.
No. Evan Almighty.
Yes, Evan Almighty.
And or Bruce Almighty.
I was gonna say Bruce Almighty.
Okay, I am gonna get out of this because we are just on a tangent that needs to stop.
Oh
But
my.
as
That's the name of the new podcast. On a Tangent.
That's the name of my. Oh my gosh! Yes, sorry. That's the name of my documentary. Not Chico.
Fair enough.
On a
So
tangent.
do you have any plugs for the people here?
I do. I gotta catch my breath and stop laughing. I really hope everybody out there that's listening to this episode has laughed along with us during the whole thing, because this is the most I've laughed on a Call Guys episode in a long time.
It's true. This is true.
Yeah. And I have enjoyed every moment of it. Jake, I do. I really do. I appreciate you coming on and your time out there. I hope you're having your fun in Indianapolis with your what do you say? It was like a
Conference. It's a leadership conference for special ed.
leadership conference. Very nice. Very, very nice. Coach Rob, if you're out there listening, yes, we do have Snake Plissken back on. I'll talk to you after this episode airs, and I'm sure you'll be excited, and it'll be great. It'll be great. Penny, if you're listening also, waving at you. Watch on YouTube. So everybody out there in podcast land, thank you for listening to the Call Guys podcast. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts, whether that be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us on YouTube. Just search for the Call Guys podcast. Please like, subscribe, click that bell. We've been posting on social media. So if you follow us on social media, or if you don't, go look us up. Facebook.com/thecallguyspod, Instagram @thecallguys, TikTok @thecallguyspodcast. And our link tree is also posted in our podcast notes, where you can find all of those podcast sites, social medias, all that good stuff. Go check it out. You can also check out our merch store, which will change soon. We got a picture from somebody who had bought a sweatshirt from our merch store, and they washed it one time and the logo disappeared. So I'm going to call them out. Spring Tea, Spring, whatever you're called. I don't care anymore.
You're dead to me.
You're dead to me.
Dang it.
You are dead to me. We're going to find ourselves a new merch store, and we're going to get that posted so you guys can all go out and find your merch and get things. Jake, I'm going to get you a hat. Bill, if you're listening, I'm going to get you a hat so you can wear those around and show off the Call Guys merch, and we will get that merch store up soon. But in the meantime, if you do want to go check out the merch store, I don't recommend buying anything off of it if it's going to wash off on you. I've had a shirt that I've washed millions of times at this point that hasn't washed off, but I'm looking at you out there. Spring Tea. We're done. Just kidding. We are done though. Sorry. But yeah, it is the callguyspodcaststore.com. If you do buy something off of there and it does fade away after the first wash, please let me know. I will get a hold of them and get you a refund or a new one, and we'll get that taken care of. I'm sorry, Amanda, who has been a guest on the Call Guys podcast. I know you bought a sweatshirt. I'm just as frustrated as you are. When I saw the picture, I was kind of disappointed. So, but yeah. My number 2 does make me cry. If you're done listening to the Call Guys podcast, you want to listen to any other podcast under the Golden Mojo Entertainment umbrella, you can go check out the Golden Image Podcast, facebook.com/Golden Image Podcast, the Indiana Chiefs Fans Podcast at facebook.com/IN Chiefs Fans Pod, A Court of Books and Booze at facebook.com/A Court of BAB, and the United States of Paranormal at facebook.com/United States of Paranormal, and the Murdnerds at facebook.com/Murdnerds. Go check out all those podcasts. Give them your love, give them support, send them reviews, all that stuff on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. Message them on Facebook, let them know how they're doing, send them emails, listen to their podcasts. That's all I got to say. Love doing this. Love having you guys on here. Colton, glad you're settled in the new house. Glad you got internet, able to get onto the Call Guys podcast. Jake, glad to have you. Glad we could take up your night in Indianapolis for 2 hours.
Absolutely. Not a problem. Enjoyed every minute of it.
I did too.
Yep.
I did too.
It was
fun.
excellent.
It's fun laughs, fun stuff, good stuff. I'm excited to go back and listen just to see how long the time where we started to the time where we actually started the subject, how long that actually was.
Oh, Skylar's gonna be pissed.
Yeah, he's gonna be like, "Oh my god, it didn't start yet." But it's all good.
On a tangent.
On a tangent. What's the weather like up there? Is that what it was?
How's the weather up there?
How's the weather up there? Colton, what was yours?
Just living the dream.
Just living the dream.
A Nightmare Story by Colton Keel.
Yes. Or Chico.
Chico.
The story of a life you don't really care to listen about.
You could do The Golden Boy. That might be intriguing too.
Ooh, there you go. There you go. The Golden Boy. I feel like that would be more like a sports documentary, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of sports documentary, we'll be adding that to the list. So Colton can bring up all kinds of sports movies that he missed on tonight's episode. So be on the lookout for that.
Yeah. I'm going to say before we close this out that I'm surprised Colton didn't have a single sports movie.
Shame.
Jog on.
It's up. It's up.
Oh, sorry.
Jog on.
Sorry, I'll do 2 fingers enough next time. I won't mess it up, I promise.
Just say playtime's over.
No.
Bashed him over the head.
Bash him over the head with a plant.
Did you tell him to cool off?
No.
Shame.
All right. Everybody out there in podcast land, thank you for listening to the Call Guys podcast. We will see you next week. And hey, make sure you're checking out all the other podcasts and make sure that you're ready for 50, 51, 52, because there are going to be some exciting episodes. Be ready for Lil G Sumo Man next week. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Later.
Oh.